Hey, what's up, recruiters? This is DSP, David Stephen Patterson, and today I have a special message that is actually a response that came from a question that was posed in the Headhunter and Executive Recruiter Community, also known as hashtag the Herc on Facebook. So if you're not a member of that community, by the way, you can check the links down below and request membership. Please be a third-party recruiter. If you're an internal recruiter, or if you're looking to sell services to other recruiters, not the best group for you. This is specifically for executive recruiters and headhunters. So with that said, let's get right into the meat of this video. All right. So I'm going to show you today how, if you are a brand new recruiting practice, or you're looking to really make your market more aware of your services, to build awareness, if you will, about your brand. Okay, and you want to try your hand at LinkedIn ads or Facebook ads or what have you. So I'm going to show you some simple strategies that you should think of before you get into the ad portion of it, because I want to make sure that you set yourself up for success. Now, the person who posed this question, her name is Nazreen. I believe she's based out of Copenhagen. So we have international recruiters in there as well. We're almost at 4,000 members, so join. With that said, she says, hi recruiters, I'm preparing for my first ad campaign and I want it to be on LinkedIn. Any tips or advice from people who have tried that? So we had some people chime in, and some of them had good advice, some others didn't. But I want to give my perspective on it. Okay. Now, why am I qualified to answer? Well, for one, I teach. It's what I teach, right? I teach other recruiters how to erect their own marketing ecosystems, and also I do the same for my own recruiting practice as well. I actually put my money where my mouth is, or as I like to call it, I like to eat my own cooking. Okay, so I have a lot of real-time data. In fact, a little bit later in this video, I can actually show you some of that actual data for one of my own ad campaigns. Okay, so if I'm looking at here at her question, I asked, well, what's the context? Like, what are you trying to do? So she says, my target audience are decision makers in life sciences and pharma. She's not a specific company she wants to target, but the purpose is to create awareness around the company since she just launched 3 months ago, and of course generate leads. So one thing I want to think about is leads are different than awareness. Okay, so the problem that most recruiters have is they think about the immediate ROI. I spent $1,000 in an ad campaign. How many conversations did I get? How many conversations did I get with the hiring manager? And that could work. I mean, honestly, when I first dipped my toe into advertising, that's what I did, because that's what I was taught. Right? It's really easy. Put an ad out on LinkedIn and have them and invite them to book a call. What happens is, and it works, what happens is you happen to get people that are at the bottom of the funnel, that have a need right now, right? And they've tried the other solutions and they're just looking for another recruiter. You happen to be another recruiter. Oh, let me give this person a shot. Typically what you're going to get for that is you're going to get not a lot of leads, but you will get those that are a little more desperate, maybe have an immediate need. Oftentimes they've already used 3 or 4 other recruiters and they're not having success. They want to bring you into the mix. You're not going to get a retainer. You're not going to get an engagement, most likely. Not even an exclusive. What you're going to get is another contingency. And you're going to get a bit of a low-hanging fruit job order where, well, it is a job order at the end of the day, but also consider that the low-hanging fruit's already been picked clean. The other recruiters who have been on it for a month or however long, they've already picked through the job boards. They've already emailed their lists. So while you may normally have a 20% chance of filling it, now you may have a 5 or 10% chance. But it does get you in and does get you immediate leads. So it does work, right? But the next level beyond that was really building awareness. And candidly, if I were starting a brand new firm today, I would start on the awareness side of it first. Still do your lead gen, right? Still do lead gen, still do email sequences and all that kind of stuff, and even a direct response ad. But ultimately, you want to build awareness first, because the more awareness you can build ahead of time, the more educated your clients are about your service, the more you've informed them of why you're significantly different, then when you're on the phone with them, either in a phone conversation or a live face-to-face meeting or what have you, it makes for a much, much easier sale. I always say this, and I've said it several times. You guys may have heard this before, but no one likes to be sold, but everyone loves to buy. So a big part of what I want to do here when I'm building awareness, okay, one of the first things I want to do is I want to make sure I separate myself out from all the leg humpers out there. What's a leg humper, you may ask? Well, that's basically almost every other recruiter, when every message they send to their prospects, or hey, can we meet? Hey, got a position open? Hey, is there anything we can help with? Hey, what about this? Hey, just touching base. Hey, anything we can help with? Hey, can we meet? Right? It's always ask, over and over, and they're getting this, they're bombarded constantly with this, right? Same thing when you send out an email. They always say, always have a CTA. No, because a CTA is just another ask. On an ad, don't always have a CTA because it's just another ask. It's okay to ask, but I would rather give first, right? It's the old Gary V theory of give, ask, right? Jab, right hook. And he has a great book by the same name. I'll link it down below as well. Fantastic read, okay? In fact, I base a lot of my overall marketing philosophy on that theory, right? On giving first and asking. In fact, that's the whole purpose behind content marketing. Now, granted, most content marketing doesn't get read because it's really dry or just informational, but we'll talk about that later, maybe in another video. So anyway, so separated myself from my latecomers. So really what I want to do is, let's say I've got a defined audience of, 2,000 people in my market. Now, these aren't candidates. These are decision makers, right? Always start with decision makers first. Most of the time. Start with decision makers first. Those are going to be your VPs and C-suite people, directors, managers, whatever. But whoever actually making the hiring decisions, not HR, okay? Vast majority of industries, it's going to be actual decision makers, the managers, etc. Okay, so you want to first think about this. I think before you start creating ads and spending money, okay, think about your overall strategy. What are you looking to do with this campaign? Ultimately, you want a few things. You're looking to build trust over time at scale. So when you talk to them, get them on the phone, there's that trust. The trust is already built in. There's a bit of a relationship already. They've seen your stuff. They've seen your content. They've gotten value from you. Okay, there's where the content marketing comes into play. But at the same time, you also want to inform them and educate them, again through content marketing. Okay, so what you want to do, and as you can tell, I talk a lot about content marketing. So what you want to do when you first start down this path is get your content ready and make sure the content is good. How do you do that? First off, don't hire a copywriter. Don't hire anybody to write your content. Do it yourself. It is the price you pay. I don't know of any thought leaders at all that don't do their own content, or they won't create their own content. So you have to create it yourself. Otherwise, you're just going to fall flat. That's why when we see digital marketers that try to market to recruiters, their content never sounds the same as mine, because I'm actually a recruiter. I've sat in the seat. I've had the headset. I've had the deals fall off. I've experienced the highs. I've experienced the lows. My content resonates, right? So what you want to do is sit down and set on your content plan. What I would do for it, let's say you want to do this Omnipresence Blast for about 3 weeks. Now here's what it's going to look like. Let's say you have 2,000 people in your audience. You're going to map them out. We'll talk about that in a second. But what you're going to do is you're going to want to make sure that those 2,000 decision makers, that every single person sees that content dripped out to them over time. All right, over this 3 weeks. Now, what you could do is you could take these 2,000 email addresses or contacts and get their emails, dump them into a drip campaign, and start pushing out content. That is a bad move. I'll have another video on specifically why you should not do a drip campaign. Drip campaigns are bad. But what you want to do here, though, is create a drip campaign online. Now, you can do it on LinkedIn. The LinkedIn ad platform is pretty clunky. And so it's very limited in what you can do, but the Facebook ad platform is amazing. And for all those people who say that their audience is not on Facebook, I'm here to tell you I will take that bet. I'll bet you anything that your audience is on Facebook. Simply upload those contacts and run an ad and see how many of those or how many people get delivered that ad. It's all in the data. So don't assume they're not on Facebook because your dad, who's a CFO, isn't on Facebook, or that this client says that he or she's not on Facebook, or that you're not on Facebook yourself. They're there, okay? So on the Facebook ad platform, here's what I would do. Take this list, this list of people, right? So map your market, get their personal email addresses. DuckSoup is great for that. I'll also include a link for that down below. But use LinkedIn, use DuckSoup, and create this list. Okay. Now you get a list of 2,000 contacts. You have the personal email addresses. Go get their work email addresses because you could dump that into an email sequence later on down the line. So make sure have a VA go and do that for you. Okay. Take those personal email addresses, upload those to Facebook. Now that said, it's a bit of a gray area. Facebook doesn't like you just uploading lists of people that you've never worked with before. So they do, quote unquote, need to be customers. Wink, wink, but anyway, that said, take this list and upload it, okay? Now take this content, and you want to make sure it's relevant content. If your content isn't relevant to your audience, if you're omnipresent to them, you'll be an annoying mosquito. So you want to make sure it's actually relevant content that speaks to their pain. I won't go into the details of how to do that here. I'll shoot another video on how to speak to your prospect's pain, so it's actually content they want to read, right? That breaks through all the white noise. But let's say you've got this content. You've got 12 pieces of content that you've written. They're well written. It's compelling content, and you have pictures to go along with it, because Facebook ads, you have like a little picture, right? So take those Facebook ads or pieces of content, and on your Facebook business page, not your personal, but your business page, post all those or post those articles along with the pictures, okay? Now you can go into your Facebook ads manager and target that list that you uploaded. I would not use Facebook's native targeting for this, okay? If we're selling, I don't know, if we're selling blenders, right? Or even better, if I'm selling running shoes, and I want to target people who are into marathons, Facebook's great for that. But to specifically say decision makers in this industry, Facebook's very, very bad at that sort of targeting. So what you want to do is do that targeting on LinkedIn, extract that list, upload that to Facebook, and target that list specifically. Okay. Now what you do is you go to the ads manager, you target them, that list, right? And then create the ads. You take that post from your Facebook business page, create the ad, run to that audience. What you can do on Facebook, which is pretty amazing, is you can say over a 3-week period, on one of those ads that you create, I only want this to show once every, or once during this 21-day period. So what happens is if you put maybe 12 of these up there, over a 21-day period, every single person on that list, at least the ones who are on Facebook, and usually about 2/3 of them are, okay, so if you upload 2,000, you'll usually hit about 1,300 to 1,400 on average, okay, for most industries. So 1,300 to 1,400 people will see 12 of those ads over a 21-day period. They won't see an ad more than once, which eliminates a lot of ad fatigue, because what it causes ad fatigue is the same thing over and over and over again. Another thing that causes ad fatigue is constantly asking, hey, can we meet? Hey, book a call. Hey, click my thing. So on these ads, you don't want any buttons. You don't want any CTAs. You want any headlines. You want to make it look as organic as possible. And I'll show you some examples here in a few minutes of what that would look like. Okay. Run that for 3 weeks. It's really easy. Okay. Run that for 3 weeks. It might cost you a few $100, but look, what's the upside of getting one client? Now, here's where the invisible ROI comes in, right? I'm not asking to get their business right away. Now, will you get business from this? Yes, because you will get people who will consume your content, like what you have to say, that you're teaching them something, providing value, and they'll contact you, right? They're grown-ups. They know how to pick up a phone and call you, right? So they will be able to get a hold of you. You don't need a CTA to drop them into a funnel and with a timer and book a call in the next 10 minutes or the deal ends. That doesn't really work like that with our audience. You don't need that, right? And oftentimes that breaks trust. Again, it's that ad fatigue that we want to try to avoid. But that is one of the best ways to build an initial omnipresence blast to your audience. Now, you could do something kind of similar with LinkedIn, but there's a lot of limitations. For example, you can't have these long posts, right? A lot of people like to read articles. They want to read that content. Unfortunately, you can't do that on LinkedIn advertising. You can create a post from your company page and then run that as an ad, but there's, I believe, a 1,300 character limit. So it's very limiting in that regard. And you can't also set a frequency, meaning, or at least right now, as the time of this filming, you can't say to LinkedIn, hey, show these 12 ads over a 12-week period and don't show any single ad more than once to this audience. You can't do that, unfortunately, right? So LinkedIn, you're able to do something like this on LinkedIn. It's kind of, you have to run an ad, run it for like a day and shut it off, and then create the other ad, or run it for a day and shut it off. You could do that, but it's very time consuming. So you can do that on LinkedIn as well, but also consider everybody else is on LinkedIn. So for one, LinkedIn is a little more expensive in terms of ad costs, and secondly, everybody else is on there, so there's a lot of noise. So your content has to be super good, right? So my recommendation typically is actually start on Facebook advertising, start there. And then while you're doing that, or even in the lead up as you're creating your content, while you're mapping your market using Duck Soup, also use Duck Soup to connect with as many decision makers in your industry as possible. You'll get about a 30 to 40% connect rate depending upon the market and depending upon the quality of your connection request with a message. I might do another video on that some other time, okay? So you're connected with a lot of people. So what you want to do is take that same content, about 12 pieces of content, take an article and post it. And let organic reach take over on LinkedIn. So post things organically on LinkedIn. You can post things multiple times to get different people to see it. Now, will everybody see it? No, right? Which is why you should join our LinkedIn engagement pod on the Herc, because you can post your content in our pod and you get a lot of quick engagement on it. So it's a great way to get additional engagement and organic reach on LinkedIn. But that's what I would do. Facebook advertising, post organic on LinkedIn. While that's running, you can also take those work emails. Remember, I said when you're mapping your market, you got your personal emails, and you take those work emails, drop those into an emailer, not an autoresponder, so not MailChimp. Please don't do that. Again, drip campaigns, I don't like them. I'll explain why in a different video. They're very spammy, but you can take those emails and drop them into Woodpecker. That uses either Gmail or Outlook or whatever email client you use. It uses your own email client to send the emails and does it very organically, and it's not like an autoresponder at all. Dump those emails into there, create a simple email sequence. Maybe a 3 to 4 email sequence introducing you and your firm. Make sure you provide value. Maybe provide an article that you've already written as one of the ads. Okay, and run that. You want to do that simultaneously. It will create leads. 100% will create leads for you if you do it right. But even more so than that, than the immediate leads. The immediate leads are great, but even more than that, here's the idea. You want every single solitary decision maker in your industry to know who you are, to know your name. And they think, for example, for Nazreen, when they think recruitment in Copenhagen for life sciences, it's Nazreen. It's just like they just know her name, right? Because they see her everywhere. That's the idea. And you can create this sort of effect, where this bubble effect, where in this little bubble of your prospect's world, you seem to be everywhere, right? At least to them, you're everywhere. In reality, you're only doing this with 1,000 or 2,000 people tops, and that's it. But to them, because all they see is their own feed, right, and their own email, to them, you're everywhere and you have valuable content. But that is how I would create that top of mind awareness initially. Now, you don't want to run this consistently week after week after week. What you want to do is you want to run this about 3 or 4 weeks, kind of a pop, if you will. Run it for 3 or 4 weeks, spend a few $100, maybe $500 on this ad campaign, and then you want to don't shut it down, but turn down the spigot a little bit. That is when you actually release a lead magnet, and that's when you do a lot of retargeting stacks, where you start retargeting those who download your lead magnet and kind of get them into like a more specific email sequence, and that's when like an autoresponder is pretty useful. It's not something, again, this is not the sort of thing you do long term, but it's a great pop, and believe me, it is extremely effective. Okay, so give me one moment. I'm going to switch screens here, and I'm going to actually show you some specific examples. Okay, guys, I want to show you some specific examples of ads that I run. Now, these are all actual ads I've run and an Omnipresence Blast. In fact, I ran in this particular blast about 24 ads, right? And you don't have to do as many as I did, but 24 is how many I put out there. I think I put out maybe 6 or 7 videos. The rest were text ads with pictures. They all have pictures, by the way. Okay, now let me take a look at these ads. And by the way, this was run to an audience of about 6,500 people, of which I was able to match up about, I think, 4,300 or 4,200. So anyway, when you look at the ads here, look at the very first ad. This is a good example of what I call a PR type of ad. So I was interviewed for CIO.com. In fact, I've had 2 articles in CIO.com, which are pretty big on my industry, and these ran on the front page. So to provide some sort of a PR, right, to show my audience that I am legitimate. So, which is what PR is good for. I ran this ad. Now, it isn't an ad saying, "Hey, look at me, look at me, look at me." It's just simply, I just say, "Look, I admit I can be hard on my SAP candidates. Why? Because I advise my clients to put every finalist through a test drive, or in other words, a working interview." I was recently interviewed by CIO.com, and then, of course, I include the link. Now, this one does look a little bit more like an ad, specifically because it's got the headline here. That's what happens whenever you include a URL in an ad, okay? But with that said, having a few ads like this, I do look more like an ad is okay, particularly if I have a big publication like CIO.com quoting me, right? Now look at the other 2 ads. If you notice, those really don't look like ads. Now, granted, you do see the little blur that says sponsored underneath my name. But other than that, what you don't see are any buttons. You don't see any headlines. It's just simply like, for example, look at the last ad with the picture of Jack Welch. That's just simply a picture of Jack Welch and a little blurb, which is basically the top part of my article. Call me crazy, but I think turnover on your SAP team can be good. It's a bit controversial, a bit of a pattern interrupt. I say that Jack Welch agrees. If they're interested, they click more and they read the article, right? They consume that content. The other one is a video that also was a bit provocative. Is your SAP recruiter cheating on you? SAP being the market that I recruit in, okay? Now let's show some actual numbers. Now, if you look at these are actual numbers from a campaign I ran over the course of about a month. So this was about a 4-week long Omni campaign, fairly long, okay? 24 ads in total. Now, the 6,500 people that I was targeting, I was able to hit, according to my numbers here, 4,224. These are CIOs, VPIT, director, program managers. So for those who say my audience isn't on Facebook, don't say that until you actually look at the data. The data will not lie. Now, under impressions, it shows that I've shown 52,280 impressions. It means 52,280 instances of my ad being in somebody's newsfeed. If I show an ad 5 times to one person, that's 5 impressions, okay? Now, my ads never repeated, not a single time. So they never seen an ad more than once. They scroll past it, they shut down Facebook, they go back on it, they'll never see that ad again, okay? So I want to avoid ad fatigue in that sense. On average, if you look at frequency, for those 4,000 people, on average, the average person saw an ad from me 12.38 times. Let's call it 12. 12 times over the course of 30 days. So I'm not showing an ad every day. It's probably once every 2.5 days top. So I'm not overly doing it, right? I'm not in their face all the time. They're tactful messages. It's actually compelling content. But here's the cool thing. 22.75% unique CTR. What does that mean? That means of the 4,224 people, 22.75% clicked on it because they wanted to consume it. I can actually see who consumed the content. Now, could somebody have only clicked on one, or could they have clicked on 10? That I don't know, but I know they've consumed the content. It's building name value, right? If I put out content into the world, if it's organic, I have no idea or no way to know if it's really connected with my audience. With this I can, right? Because if I put out, say, an article on LinkedIn, and I see that X amount of people saw the content, I really don't know, is that my target audience? Are those my recruiter buddies? Right? But here, since I'm paying for access to these decision makers' news feeds, right? I know it's only showing to them. And of those, I know that according to this, 960 some people consumed that content. Now, for the others, do they still know my name? Damn right I do, right? Has this got me business? Yes. I'm in negotiations with a major consulting firm to handle all their SAP recruiting in North America, specifically because of this, right? And that's not even the purpose of this campaign. That's not even from a lead generation ad campaign. This is just simply an awareness omnipresence blast. All right. So that is how you run an omnipresence blast. All right, guys. So that about does it here. That gives you a brief introduction as to how to create more brand awareness for your new recruiting practice. Now, if you're looking for more structured help with this, you can click on the link down below. You can do really one of two things. I've got the Lighthouse guide. That is my 45-page guide on how to create a marketing ecosystem using Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, email, etc. to get that message out to your prospects. You can also click down below and register for my free masterclass as well. Now, if you really want to take it to the next level, also click down below and you can apply for a call with our VP of Enrollment. You see, we have a program called 7-Figure Headhunter Accelerator. That's where I work with executive recruiters who are already billers or independent recruiters or small search firm owners over the course of 90 days. Where at the end of 90 days, you have a marketing ecosystem that is an asset. It's a functioning system that helps bring your ideal clients from their state of pain all the way through to their vision, right? Through your vehicle, meaning your offer. So it's a way for you to develop a higher level offer, whether it's engage or retain, move away from contingency, and how to get that message in front of your clients or your prospects rather, and to do it at scale. And in that program, we master really the big four. There's going to be LinkedIn, Facebook, email, and even direct mail. Okay? Sometimes old school still works. So with that said, guys, thank you for watching this video. And with that said, happy hunting.